Hey, what is up, fellow raiders? This is Vulcan Dan, and in today's free-to-play friendly Raid Shadow Legends video, we are going to talk about 4 Shadowkin epics that are useful for Shadowkin faction wars and also other areas of the game. Now, of course, if you are a free-to-play player, you don't have a lot of resources to play around with to build multiple champions. You want to know which champions are efficient, which champions can be used in many areas of the game so that you just build that one champ and then you can plug him in dungeons, clan boss, faction wars, arena. Yeah, I will point out those 4 Shadowkin epics that are useful for faction wars and also other areas of the game. I mentioned faction wars because we are expecting Shadowkin faction wars to open fairly soon. It is not open yet. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, we don't have Shadowkin faction wars yet, but the Shadowkin faction has been around for quite some time now. So hopefully before the end of 2021, we get to see, or we get to finally use our Shadowkin champions in faction wars. All right, so let's take a look at these Shadowkin epics. So of course, I'm going to be mentioning epics. If you have any of the Shadowkin legendaries, of course, build them up. Most of these are excellent for faction wars. I think the worst one here is Noble, but still, quite decent. Not overly terrible, but he is the worst among these Shadowkin legendaries. And of course, if you are a free-to-play player, you have better access to epic champions, so you may not have a lot of these legendaries. And of course, for rares, I don't suggest you build up these rares. Do not build them up to level 60. Save your resources for epics and legendaries instead. All right, so let's get started. First one is Taragi the Frog. He has this nice A1 decrease attack. Decrease attack is such a useful debuff because you want the enemy, of course, to deal less damage to you, especially useful for those boss fights because this is just a single target on his A1, but it is a consistent decrease attack. He also has this AoE Provoke. Provoke is an excellent crowd control skill. This one, the chance increases by 5% for each debuff on the enemy team. So this one is only at a 50%, but if you have a lot of debuffs, this can easily go up by a lot. And Provoke and other crowd control skills like Stun, those are very useful for faction wars because you, of course, that would help your team stay alive longer, prevent the other team from taking a turn or using their skills. And he also has this A3 that places a shield and ally protection on all of your allies. And he also has this heals this champion by 25% of their max HP and places a 30% reflect damage buff on them for 3 turns. And the heal increases by 2.5% for each poison debuff on the enemy team. So yeah, he does shield, ally protect, reflect damage, heals. You want more defensive champions on your team for faction wars. Now, these champions are of course not as sexy as those attack type champions that deal a lot of damage, deal a lot of crit. These will of course have a longer fight, but to stay relevant in the later stages of faction wars, you want a more defensive team to help keep your team alive. And of course, you don't have to manual the fight. If you're just a casual player in this game, just leave it on auto and then go do something else and return after a few minutes and the fight is done. So yeah, so always go for a more defensive team in faction wars. And his passive, he has a 50% chance of placing a 5% poison on the attacker for 2 turns, occurs once per hit. This is an excellent passive, so every time Taragi is attacked, he can place all of those poisons. And this, of course, synergizes with his A3 also, that increases the heals for each poison debuff on the enemy. So after a few turns, you will notice that your enemy team has a lot of poisons on them given by Taragi. Now, he is excellent for faction wars to keep your team alive with this decrease attack, provoke, and shield, ally protect, and heals. But he is also an excellent champion for the clan boss. Decrease attack is an excellent debuff for the clan boss because you're technically reducing the clan boss's damage by half. You are going to last longer. You can place more debuffs, more poisons. And speaking of poison, of course, he has this passive that places poison on the clan boss. Poison deals a lot of damage on the clan boss. The provoke, of course, will not do anything for the clan boss, so you can turn this off. But this A3 is very helpful to stay alive again longer in the fight, so that you can hit more, you can place more poisons. So make sure that you use this A1 and A3 for the clan boss. And yeah, so Taragi, great for faction wars, great for the clan boss. Next one is Hotatsu. Hotatsu has a leech on his A1. Now you want to place leech on a for example a boss, because that would of course help you last longer in a fight. Leech is a sort of a lifesteal kind of debuff. This is lifesteal without having to have the lifesteal gear on your champions. He also has this decreased attack similar to Taragi, but it's on an AoE, so that's excellent for waves. He has this increased defense and continuous heal on all allies. So Hotatsu is an excellent champion. Also with this increased ally defense in all battles by 25%. This is excellent for another area in the game, the clan boss. So both Taragi and clan boss, both Taragi and Hotatsu are excellent epic champions for the clan boss. Placing leech on the clan boss is good because especially if you have the tier 6 masteries, Giant Slayer and War Master, having leech and then proccing those Giant Slayer or War Master on the clan boss will basically heal you up back to full health. So yeah, so having that leech is excellent, and of course decreased attack, less consistent than Taragi, but still useful because this is on a 3-turn cooldown when booked because it's an AoE hit. But this one, increased defense and heal, also a very good skill against the clan boss. So if you have both Hotatsu and Taragi in the clan boss, you will definitely last a long time against that fight, and use him for his aura as well. All right, so that's the second one. And of course, I forgot to mention that Taragi is an HP based champion, so build him up with a lot of HP, and that would of course help him keep himself alive long in the fight. And Hotatsu is a defensive based champion. So yeah, so remember that if they're HP based or defensive based, do not build them with attack. Attack will do nothing. You might think that attack will increase the damage of these champions, but take a look at this one. Damage is based on HP, Yeah, and similar with Hotatsu, damage is based on defense. So on champions like this one, attack does nothing. All right, so make sure to remember that. Third champion is Sachi. Sachi has this unique A1 because instead of a single target, it's an AoE hit. So she is actually great for a stun set because she will do this A1 for a lot of turns, and she will continuously stun the enemy team. Also has this nice decreased accuracy debuff. She also has this decreased crit rate and leech on a single target, but this one can be booked to a 2-turn cooldown. 2-turn cooldowns in this game is very rare. Just a handful of champions have them. She is one of them. So yeah, 2-turn cooldown, placing that leech. So for 2 turns, so this is basically up almost 100% of the time if you're the same speed as the enemy. Like if it's a boss fight, having that leech there is excellent. And she has this increased attack on all allies for 2 turns, then attacks one enemy, then fills the turn meter of all allies by 20% if this attack is critical. So build her with a lot of crit rate, 100% crit rate if possible. And she has this nice passive, and this is she's actually right now the only reviver in the Shadowkin faction, and her revive is not even an active skill, it's on a passive skill. So revives a random ally with 30% HP whenever this champion kills an enemy, has a 50% chance of placing fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn whenever an ally is revived. So yeah, so this is sort of a has its pros and cons. Of course, for you to revive someone, Sachi has to kill an enemy. Now, she has this AoE hit right here, so it doesn't hit as hard as the other skills, but since it hits all of the enemies, you have a good chance of killing one of them, and that would revive one of your champions. This leech is also great, and this one of course is a great skill to fill up the turn meter of all of your allies, assuming you built her up with a lot of crit, and you should, because you want her to hit hard, because you want to make use of this passive right here. Now, other than faction wars, of course, putting her in a stun set, useful in faction wars. She's also great in the spider, in early to mid game spider, when you're dealing with spider 10, spider 15, and you want AoE hits to destroy all of those spiderlings. Her A1 with that decreased accuracy will prevent the spiderlings from placing those poisons on your team, and also putting her in a stun set will help you stun those spiders as well. Placing this leech on the main spider boss is also great for keeping your whole team alive, and this one of course is great for just mainly keeping the damage up with that increased attack and making sure that your teammates will get their turns much quicker. Now, she does pair well with another great spider champion. That one is in the orcs. He is Ultimate Galek. Ultimate Galek has an AoE HP burn, but he will not do it unless he has increased attack. AoE HP burn is one of the best things that you can do to beat the spiders, then especially for the higher levels. And Sachi here of course has this increased attack, which will help Ultimate Galek place those HP burns. Plus, of course, her other skills will help keep Ultimate Galek alive with this leech, and also this decreased accuracy AoE with the stun set. So yeah, Sachi with Ultimate Galek will help you out in the early to mid game spider. And of course, when you kill one of those spiderlings, especially with this AoE hit, and those spiderlings of course do not have a lot of HP, and there's a lot of them, so chances are you will kill them a few times with this A1 AoE. So Sachi will have a lot of revive chances during that fight. So yeah, and of course a lot of players are right now in their end game, and they don't use Sachi for those stage 24, stage 25 in Spider. But if you're a new player, a free-to-play player just starting off, trying to get the hang of Spider, Sachi is an excellent champion to use there. Alright, and the last one is Burangiri, this cool Dragon Ball-like looking champion right here. He has a provoke on his A1. He has a stun AoE on his A2. So his A1 and A2 are great for CC. CC stands for crowd control. So you want those to apply to the enemy so that they don't, for stun, they don't, or they miss that turn. For provoke, they are only able to use their basic skill or their A1 skill. So yeah, very good A1 and A2 to control the enemy. And he has this A3 that places Strengthen, which reduces the damage that you take by 25%, and places that shield as well. So yeah, he's a great defensive champion, and his damage is also based on defense. So just build him up with a lot of defense. Do not place any attack on this one. Attack will do nothing on Burangiri. And he also heals himself by 50% of his max HP whenever an ally or an enemy dies. Alright, and this passive right here is actually great for one of the Doom Tower bosses that a lot of people are having difficulty with right now, and that is Bommel the Dreadhorn, the one that places a lot of bombs. Because the Dread Bombs are counted as enemies, and when they explode they will die, and that would proc this passive right there. And yeah, so he will heal by 50% of his max HP. So if 2 Dread Bombs go off, he will heal by 100% of his HP. Just put him in a lot of heals, like Immortal set, Regen set, and he will basically tank the boss until the boss dies. For Bommel, the Dreadhorn, his other skills don't really do much. Of course, you cannot provoke the boss, you cannot stun the boss. You would also want to turn off his A3 when you're using him to fight Bommel, because you don't want these extra buffs, because Bommel can take advantage of those. So his only use there is this passive. So you just want this passive. It will be a longer fight, but it is a very difficult boss, and this is one of the ways you can beat the boss without having, you know, a lot of the other legendaries that you need to beat Bommel. Right, and of course he is excellent for faction wars because of those CCs and this strengthen and shield. All right, so of course those are the 4 champions that I think that are great for faction wars and also other areas of the game, so that you can be efficient with your resources. Now, does that mean that these other champions are useless for faction wars? They are not. They are good, but you want to be more defensive, a little more on the safe side. Now, these attack champions like Gori, Chani, Genbo. Genbo is great, especially for arena, but of course, for faction wars, I really suggest that you go for a more defensive route. It's nice to have these attack type champions. It will make the runs go faster. You do a lot of damage. It is a lot of fun, but prioritize these defensive champions that places those heals, those stuns, those provokes, those increased defense, ally protect. Those are more useful in the long run for faction wars. And then if you have some extra resources, then yeah, go ahead and build one of these heavy nukers, and they will of course be useful for your faction wars team. Alright, so I hope you found this useful, and if you want more of these free-to-play friendly guides, you might want to subscribe to my channel, because I upload daily and I do a lot of beginner-friendly and free-to-play friendly guides on Raid Shadow Legends. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this useful, and I'll see you guys in my next video.